The 2023 Louisiana Legends interview series is brought to you by presenting sponsor, the Gail and Tom Benson Charitable Foundation, our premier sponsor, the William J. Doré family, with additional support provided in part by the Irene W. and C.B. Pennington Foundation, Louisiana Lottery, and Roy O. Martin, with the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and viewers like you. Thank you.
You know, if you know Gary, you love Gary because he's a salt of the earth kind of guy.
He's a devoted father and husband, and he cares about people, and he's a great writer, but more than that, he's a great person.
He's the most genuine, compassionate person I have ever met. He will give even if he does not have it to give. He will still give it.
Gary Fields, so glad to have you joining us. Louisiana Legend for 2023, right here in the LPB studios. Welcome, sir.
Well, Robin, thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is really all ours because I've been waiting to have this conversation with you to talk about a number of things, to really dig deeply into your life and your story, because we've heard so much, and we just got to say wow to start it off. But you know, growing up with your dad being in the military and the Air Force, you're living in Japan, Germany, and then landing in Alexandria, Louisiana. Tell us a bit about how living abroad really helped to shape your view of the world.
You know, when I look back across my life, I understand the advantages that I had with Dad being in the military and us being able to live abroad, and then professionally, you know, I've had the opportunity to spend some time in a number of countries and on the African continent and a little bit in South and Central America. Mm-hmm. And what I can say is, when you see other cultures, it opens your mind up to the possibilities of what the world could look like if we weren't so insulated here. Mm-hmm. I wish that we could, you know, send every kid for a month to some foreign country, and not necessarily to Europe, but to all these other places. It opens up it just opens up the world to you when you see these other cultures. Africa was really eye-opening for me because I went in there with the good old American eye on, oh my gosh, they don't have electricity, they don't have water with filter systems and all the other things. And then I realized, you know something, late at night, they're having a good time, they're socializing, they're outside, they're laughing. They don't seem to be bothered by the fact that they don't have electricity. In my neighborhood in Maryland, if the power goes out for 15 to 20 minutes, everybody's screaming.
It's over.
And you hear generators pumping up and everything else, but you've got people who are living their entire lives. So it kind of made me reassess, you know, just what it is that we value and what's so important for us.
Mm-hmm. What kind of led you into the space of journalism, college, all of that? What brought that about?
You know, some of the most formative years for me was when we did finally get to the States and my family came back and decided to retire where both of my parents were from. And that's Alexandria, you know, just what, a couple hours north of Baton Rouge. And I was good at certain things because one of the things from going to the schools overseas, and I've always wondered, why can't we just replicate the school systems that we send our diplomats' kids and our military kids to, because they didn't have any limits on what they thought we could learn. And what was interesting, especially back in the 60s, those military schools were just integrated seamlessly.
Right. And here in the United States, it was a struggle.
Yeah, you come back to the States, there's a turmoil. You're still actually, you know, wrestling over what bus you're going to ride and going past 2 and 3 high schools and all the rest of these things. But overseas, you were just an American, and you were just an American kid, and all of you were actually hanging out and going to school together. Look, my best friend in Wiesbaden, Germany, was a white kid named Philip Pierce. His father was a full colonel. My father was an enlisted guy. they would never have been able to fraternize as friends anyway. But the best friend I had was the kid of a colonel and a little white kid, and it never really dawned on either one of us, I don't think, the racial aspect of it. Of course, then you get back to the States, and race plays a major part in how people perceive you. When we got back to the States, there was such a high value, and education had a high value in my family anyway, because my mom quit school in 9th grade. And I lucked out because she, despite having not had an education, and despite being a maid and a cook for most of her, professional career, she truly valued education. So when we would have discussions, it wasn't really debatable whether or not I was going to go to college. Now, she didn't know how we were going to pay for it, but I was going.
Gary graduated with a bachelor's degree in journalism in 1982. Then he went to work on a master's degree in English from Northwestern State in Natchitoches.
He quietly did little things at Northwestern that were really, really big things. The Blue Key National Honor Fraternity, a student union governing board. He was an RA at Varnado Hall, one of the oldest dorms at Northwestern.
In 1985, Gary joined the Shreveport Times, where he led coverage of 6 parishes. He reported on a variety of issues, including school boards, city councils, and military news. He also covered night cops and the growing problems of crack cocaine and gang wars. In 1990, Gary went national, moving to Washington, D.C. to work for USA Today. He eventually moved to the Washington Times, where he was a police reporter during the city's record-high homicide rates. He returned to USA Today for 10 years before joining the Wall Street Journal in 2000.
So, what are the stories you've worked on that you're especially proud of in this storytelling career that you've had?
I think I was in Shreveport, and somebody had called that there were a bunch of babies that had been, that were stillborn, and they hadn't been buried.
Wow.
So we started writing stories about this, and how, these nameless, faceless babies, and people came out of the woodwork to try to do the right thing in terms of funerals, in terms of headstones, in terms of doing the things. So, and I remember the headline was "Forgotten No More." And for me, that was one of those early, because I was relatively young in the business then, that was one of those kind of early points where you realize we can actually do good things with this, because often people don't respond or take care of problems because they don't know about them. So that was one of the first ones, and I'll get around to, talking about how that's kind of been what my passion is anyway, which is a different kind of accountability journalism. There's the accountability where you're looking at, public officials or whoever and making sure they do the right thing.
Sure.
My accountability is to look at you and make sure you know the right thing to do. And that means
taking a step further back.
I'm going to tell you the stories that you should know and the people you should be paying attention to. Because then from that point on, you can't say you didn't know because I just told you.
It's the power of the pen. Totally personified is what I'm hearing. What's the legacy you want to leave?
I want to make sure that people don't walk by and treat anybody as if they're invisible. My legacy is see everybody's humanity, and in seeing their humanity, you will see your own. You don't walk past the homeless person and just go, oh, you're homeless. Ask yourself, why are they homeless? Who are you? What is your story? Because we all have stories, we all have journeys. And not just as a journalist, but also to actually step forward and say, what can I do to actually help you be seen and to create a focus to where maybe we solve some of the problems and things. So am I a crusader? Yeah, probably. And journalism has made for a very good steed.
Right. You're a crusader without a cape, but you're a crusader with your pen or your computer.
Yes, I've actually
Yes.
I've tried to be, because it feels like God didn't put me in the position just to go out and just to, you know, let's just stick to this story and this story and this story. I have lived a life and come from a place to where I have a different perspective. And it is my duty and my honor to actually take that perspective and once again hold people accountable, and not just the people who can actually change these things, but also the people in our newsrooms.
Mm-hmm. I will end here just because I was thinking about it. You made a comment at the Legends Gala, and you said that Louisiana was in your soul. And I think everybody in the room felt it. It resonated across the room when you said Louisiana's in my soul. And you've been away living many places and mostly in the DMV now. Expound on that a little bit.
What that means for me is there's a character, there's a spirituality that we all share. And the best way for me to synthesize it is you get up every day and you acknowledge that maybe life's tough, but somebody's got it tougher. And if you are a true Louisianian, you try to actually reach back, no matter what your circumstances are, you save enough to try to help the next person. My Aunt Mary had 11 kids, but would find ways to actually help me. You pass it on.
12th kid, and she's...
Yeah, I was the 12th kid and probably the one that could out eat all 11 of the other ones combined.
Yeah.
But she would actually, there was always room, there was always enough. Now, I know now that, well, we didn't really have a whole heck of a lot, but we always had enough, and they made a way to stretch that. My grandmother, Viney, my mom, Shirley, Aunt Mary, they made a way for all of us to always have enough. Now, I'm not going to say that folks didn't live without the stresses, but that's what having Louisiana in your soul is to me, is you acknowledge that things are a little bit tough for you, but then you look over here at somebody else and you take it as your responsibility to try to help anybody who is in need.
Gary Fields, thank you for giving to us this evening. Thank you for this conversation, and we wish you well, and congratulations again as a 2023 Louisiana legend.
The 2023 Louisiana Legends interview series is brought to you by presenting sponsor, the Gail and Tom Benson Charitable Foundation, our premier sponsor, the William J. Doré family, with additional support provided in part by the Irene W. and C.B. Pennington Foundation, Louisiana Lottery, and Roy O. Martin, with the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, and viewers like you. Thank you.